Hey everybody, it's David Wilks, and here's what I really love. If y'all want to get to know who I am passionate about airplanes. And I am passionate about airplanes because that's been my true love my entire life. So while I'm out in California today, waiting for this Lamborghini to be ready to be picked up, I'm at the March Air Museum. So throughout the video today, I'm just gonna go over some of my favorite aircraft. You can check the history on it because a lot of the aircraft I'll actually know some of the history. Some of the history of the aircraft I know because I have known people who have actually flown this aircraft. And some of the aircraft that I'm gonna share with you today are planes that I would absolutely love to own, fly, and some of the ones that are here today, I've actually flown in. Not the actual planes that are here, but the exact types. So follow along, this will be interesting. And I'm telling you, this is gonna be a cool video. Please leave a comment. If you're not a subscriber, please do so. Hit the notification bell because I got a lot more great content coming up. If you've come from other pages and other channels, I appreciate it. Just hang out because this is gonna be a fun trip. I promise you that for sure. Okay, if you saw the movie Pearl Harbor, you probably got a glimpse of who General James Doolittle is. So this is the memorial for General James Doolittle. In that movie in Pearl Harbor, they showed you right here. And this is where not only was Maverick trying to buzz the tower in Top Gun, but there was also another point in the movie Pearl Harbor where Ben Affleck and I can't remember the other guy's name, where we're doing their knife edge pass, and it was just, you know, of course it was an epic pass to inspire the men. And General James Doolittle was the first one to do an outside loop, and he did that right here at March Field. Pretty damn epic. And he did it to show the capabilities of one, his flight, but also his ability to fly the airplane and what he could do with it. And of course they said it was an homage because he was doing such to inspire the men. And I guess if you sponsor this place, you get to put a tile down, and that's pretty awesome. 1st Fighter Group, 14th Fighter Group. These were the P-38s, B-24 Liberators. These are just amazing aircraft. These are all bomb groups that would leave here, refuel in Hawaii, and then continue on. And once again, we're gonna get inside and it's gonna be epic. That's just awesome seeing that tower. That's like something I've seen in videos and movies my entire life, and here I am. I'm sure we'll see one of these on premises since the P-38s came out of this field here. This is a P-38 F-45 Lightning Memorial. Check this out, it's got Richard Bong 40 victories and Tom McGuire 38. Phenomenal aircraft. We'll talk more about this later. One of the most iconic fighters next to the P-51 Mustang. Just insane power, speed. All these amazing people sponsored this. Just epic. This wall, this Freedom Shine, and my phone going off at the last minute. Always happens when I'm filming. All right, so now we're inside, and I just want to share a few things to you. This is one of the rocket boosters that they used on the space shuttle. And if you look at this, and you look at the material that it's made from, I guarantee many people who follow a lot of automotive stuff will go, okay, well, I've seen better welds on turbo headers. And you'll see where they do a weld, and they skip, and a weld, and they skip. But when these things were manufactured, okay, they were done so with several welders working on this at the same time, and they would work on these outer rings and separate as they're going around so that you don't warp and shrink everything, so everything stays the same, everything stays together. That's the 3 pods together. And if you've never been to Florida and seen a launch, it is one of the most spectacular things in the world. It's a shame we don't have these today. It really is. Yeah, these are the satellite thrusters. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely cool. There's so much neat stuff here. We'll have some more later. Coming from an aviation RC background, I always love seeing stuff like this. Counter-rotating propellers is not a new phenomenon. It's something that's been available for many, many years. The fun thing is I'm standing right underneath a World War II drone. This is a training drone that used to be used so that pilots could go up and shoot something down. And it used a pulse code type of control system, only used an elevator and a rudder for control. The neat thing is women were the ones that used to build these. And one of the most famous of those women, 18-year-old Norma Jean. And there she is holding the engine that she would assemble and the propellers and everything. And she later became known as Marilyn Monroe. Just an interesting snippet of how amazing these target drones used to be and where they came from. Pretty awesome. And now counter-rotation technology is something that's being used on a lot of aircraft, a lot of RC aircraft, but yet really hasn't taken off in general aviation. I always like seeing stuff like this where the pilots would keep their own kill record for their bomber runs. Once again, this is part of the B-24 Liberator group. Just an amazing aircraft. And some of the stuff that's here for everybody to see. It's totally awesome. Most of you guys all know an SR-71. Such an outstanding aircraft, an American icon. This aircraft, the actual speed of it, I don't think has been declassified. But what is known is that the aircraft will fly at a sustained flight faster than a 9mm bullet leaves the muzzle of a gun. That's pretty impressive. These airplanes would have to refuel immediately after takeoff. They would get up to altitude, do a quick burst to heat the fuselage and the skins so that the skins would come together and not leak fuel all over the ground or leak fuel in flight. Once the aircraft came up to temperature, they would meet up with another refueling tanker, refuel the aircraft, and then it would be ready for its mission. Another example of just insane, amazing military technology, U.S. ingenuity, and something that we just don't see today. We just don't see this today. All right, just got outside. Of course, you can't go to an air museum in California and not CF4 Phantoms. One of the blessings that I had when I lived in Texas and was based out at Hooks Airport was flying with Don Wiley, as I also knew him as Phantom Wiley. This is an RF-4C. This is the latest version or last of the versions of the Phantoms. And these things were stupid camera systems. As you can see in here, they've removed it all. And this was simply just reconnaissance for flight. Has a nose duct so it could cool the forward areas for the cameras. Clearly you see that it's marked that you don't get near it while it's running. This thing had long range because of the long fuel tanks. And they've got an Echo model right there in the background. That's the first one. Probably some of the most kick-ass aircraft ever. When I talk about planes that I have flown, the civilian version of this is a 337. It's a push-pull. It's the only twin-engine airplane that you can fly as a civilian and not need a twin-engine rating, because you have one in the front, one in the rear. Now this one over here actually looks like it's still in flight status. This one here is pretty badass. It has all the fairings and nose cones and stuff like that. These are great short-field aircraft. Phenomenal short-field aircraft. And to this day, they're very sought after because they're just amazing airplanes to fly. They really are. As you can see, you get in from the right side, almost at the starboard side. You don't have a whole lot of space back there. This was all laid out as an observer aircraft Very, very cool. We'll get to some of these really cool ones in a second. I'm gonna walk around and see what else they have here. Oh, they got some helicopters. Definitely gonna have to talk about that. All right, so this little banana here that's in green has a lot of history in my family. My grandfather was one of the machinists and first engineers at Paisaki Corporation, where this wonderful little Vertol got its beginnings. And one of the very first ones of these actually crashed, and my grandfather took one of the remaining, or took 3 of the remaining 6 blades, took the rotor shaft, stripped it down, and made a flagpole, one for Frank Paisaki, another one for the widow, and another he kept himself, which is currently flying an American flag in Houston, Texas. So this flying banana has a really deep place in my heart, each and every one of them. Of course, that Cobra back there is amazing. So let's continue on. And everybody has heard the wop 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 of the UH-1. Okay, so here's one of the most iconic fighter aircraft of the World War II era. And they've got this amazing heritage of some of the aircraft that are still flying today. And if you've not seen the footage about Glacier Girl, you do yourself a favor to go check that out. Look it up on Wikipedia, look at it on Amazon. There's a lot of stories about how this aircraft was found and how come they went through so much to get to this airplane. So this is a shot of the dive brake system that it would have. And the reason it has this is because when these things would come from 40,000 feet up and dive down, they could go so fast that it would ended up, the airflow coming off the wing would separate and end up over here. So you would lose control of the airplane. So what they did is they disrupted the airflow so they could slow the airplane down because it was so stupid fast. Sounds like a bad problem to have, right? And while this looks like an all original airplane, this is actually a composite model made off of the original airplane. And check out the name, Snafuperman. You know what a snafu means? There were 3 flight terms: snafu, tarfu, and foo bar. Snafu meant situation normal, all effed up. That means you could still fly. Tarfu was meaning, okay, you really could fly the plane, but you needed to fix a few things. So that was, things are really effed up. And then foo bar, a lot of people have heard that. That's effed up beyond all recognition. That means the aircraft was grounded and you stayed home on the ground that day. Look at some of these original drawings. Just a simply amazing aircraft. It was an amazing time of ingenuity in Americans. Just an outstanding time for America. If you're a Texan, you'll understand that the Air Force had a huge history in Texas. And if you're a diehard Texan, you'll understand why Whataburger pays tribute to the Air Force in each and every location. Do you think that's a coincidence? If you know your Whataburger history, you know it's not. And as I said, the airplane behind me is a replica made from molds cast off the original aircraft. All composite. There's the Yippee. So cool. So amazing to see all of this. So amazing. No aviation tour would be complete without a B-17. This one came equipped with the lounge chair and the nose, most likely from its ferry flight. This aircraft is actually still flight worthy, believe it or not. And then over here we have a few little MiGs, and we'll get over there to the B-29 shortly. I just love some helicopters. They just beat the air into submission. So anybody who knows me knows that this is my dream aircraft, that this is my bug out airplane. This is the one that I want. There's only a few examples left in the world today that are flying. A friend of mine in Texas has one up in Conroe, and he keeps it at the airport north of there. This is a Grumman HU-16 Albatross. This is one of the short wing variants. They make one that does have a longer wing. Has a titanium spar, and the radial Pratts are known worldwide. They have these engines everywhere. So this is one of the greatest bug out aircraft ever. It can take off in 5-foot seas. It also has a jet assist, JATO assist, if it needs to get a little bit high, you know, at a higher seas. Was this is simply an outstanding, amazing aircraft. One of the favorite things about it, it was used as an observer. Coast Guards would go after looking for people, and once again, there goes my damn phone. And it's my dad. So we're just gonna, he's calling me because I've been sending him pictures and stuff. And it's just one of those things where my father and I have always gone to air shows and aviation related stuff, and it's just one of the most outstanding things that we've shared in my whole life. And that's why I'm such an airplane nut. More than cars, more than boats, aviation's been my life. The cool thing about this is there's several civilian versions that are out there flying right now, and believe it or not, you can actually buy these things cheaper than you can buy a new Lamborghini. The forward area has a observation area that you can drop down. You can have a person sit in there strapped in all the air and all the flow, and they use that as an observer point. Some of the aircraft have this nose bubble as a clear acrylic, and they would climb up at the nose of the aircraft, look around, trying to find a downed airplane or a ship or a boat that they were going after. And in that case, they would call in a helicopter, because these aircraft could loiter forever. This is your typical, your wing tank here. You can fill these up with 200 gallons each. Just with these wing tanks here, the airplane has a range of 2,700 miles. When you add these 300-gallon tanks here, you add another 800 miles of range to this aircraft. It's absolutely amazing. It's just, it really is. It's just, this aircraft could go up and loiter for hours, like an entire day, to try and find somebody who's lost at sea. And if able, they could put this thing in the water, pick those people up, rescue them, and bring them to safety. It is my bug out aircraft. It's what I want. It's more than anything else in the world. It's this is definitely the airplane that I would really want to have. It's slow, she can fly low, she can land on water. It's the best of all worlds. Of course, over here, this one needs no introduction. Simply does not. World famous, especially in Japan. The most amazing B-29. And again, I must say it, this is back when Americans built amazing things, and we worked together, and we did things We competed in industries to make America better. I mean, you had companies like Boeing, Lockheed, Vought. I mean, they all were trying to be #1 and build the best. And our military was the strongest it ever was. It's so sad that today, you know, a lot of that has been lost. And we'll get into some of the modern aircraft, but you know, if you're a Top Gun fanatic, when I was in elementary school or maybe middle school, I saw an F4 Tomcat take off, and the guy in Baton Rouge, he was a weatherman at the time, Pat Shingleton, was the MC for the air show at the Baton Rouge Air Show. And they had several jets that had taken off and left the area at the end of the show, the end of the day. Well, Pat Shingleton had microphone and radio to all of the pilots as they were leaving and exiting the airspace. And as one Skyhawk pilot took off and just left the airspace, Pat Shingleton opens up and says, well, I wonder if the F-14 Tomcat guys will do something better than just leave the field. Well, as they took off, they seemed to look like they were leaving the airspace. And moments later, he said, wait, I think I hear something from the Tomcat pilots. Now, those were both from the USS Nimitz. It was the Skull and Crossbones AJ VF-84 flight group, the same one that was used to film the movie Top Gun, and also the one that had the final countdown. So if you've seen the movie Final Countdown, this was also one of the heroes of that movie. Well, unbeknownst to everybody else, when Pat Shingleton had opened his mouth and said, well, I wonder if these guys are going to do anything better and show us what this plane's got. Well, the pilots came across the airfield just barely below a Mach number of Mach 1. And right as they crossed the airfield, they popped that bubble. And it shattered windows for miles. And it was impressive. And I, being a kid, was addicted to aviation for the rest of my life. And at 53 years old right now, just seeing this is the same feeling as the first day I ever saw one when I was in elementary school. Another one of the amazing aircraft I got to see when I was a child, and I still feel like one looking at this right now, having a grandfather that had access to NASA and would take us there in Houston, this was one of the most amazing aircraft that I've actually seen fly. And it's a rocket that you strap yourself onto and you just hold the hell on. And this is the F-104A Starfighter. This plane is stupid crazy. When I was a kid, I'd build models of these things, and this was just one of the most insane aircraft. There's different variants of this inlet system that would vary the airflow going into the turbine's inlets. This wing is not round like any other wing. As you see, it's just a sharp edge. It's not a typical, you know, symmetrical airfoil. It literally flies by angle of attack, meaning it flies by you adding thrust and control surface movement, and you just hold on. Now this was also, well, I got a breeze between these airplanes. That's pretty badass. Even the tip tanks added stability to this airplane, and that's what's so outstanding about it. Now the back of it, this is all titanium. Every bit of this is titanium. Look at this. You're strapped on, baby. Now clearly the engine is missing. We were in California, so it probably got jacked, but you're looking at some pretty high dollar titanium rivets, welding, and everything else. And it just hauled ass. You can wiki this thing or get on Amazon and look up some great videos There's some amazing video channels right now that talk about aircraft, but the F-104 Starfighter is without a doubt one of my faves. There's a F-105. There's another amazing aircraft. Of course, the F4 Phantom, a Screamer. Oh, we'll get to that baby there. There's a Corsair, E6 Intruder. What? Yep. Marine Corps aircraft. And a Delta Dart. Check this baby out. See that curvature on the front of that wing? Look at that. This is before they had fluid dynamics and stuff, and I could do this, all this modeling, and you know, to develop these airfoils using the computer and computer simulation. They actually had to draw it up, make it, and think that it was going to work. They'd make a model and hope that it would work. And this plane didn't have servos and flight control systems and computers to balance out the difference. It didn't have a forward canard wing. It had a human being, and he strapped himself in and he punched it and he flew this thing. And I can't even imagine this landing on a carrier deck. Not at all. A4 Skyhawk. Check out the colors. Insane. Beautiful aircraft. Beautiful aircraft. We're gonna get some more of these. Look at that. Really cool stuff. I hope you're still with me. We got more stuff to come. Check out this Skyhawk. The Skyhawks were amazing aircraft. They really were. The Blue Angels used them for many years. It was a great single seat fighter. As you can see, this one is a tandem seat, probably used for observation with the large fuel tanks. This thing probably had a lot of range. You've got a refueling probe here, plus you have 3 fuel tanks. Let's see what the history of this baby is, if it tells. An advanced pilot trainer was used for this A4J. Yeah, TA, trainer. That means it was an advanced trainer. Attack fighter, yep. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Look at those numbers. 154,000 served the US Navy. That's a lot of airplanes. Tongue and Gazer. Interesting names. Interesting names. All right, if you've ever driven down I-95 going past Pooler into Savannah, you've seen one of these at the Air Museum there. And this is the B-47 Stratojet. This was the predecessor to the B-52 that we're standing under right now. And as you can see, this thing is massive. I personally know pilots who fly these right now in Oklahoma, and their dads, and I think one guy that I know, his grandfather actually flew these as well. Just an amazing piece of history. Again, search this aircraft on YouTube and you will find dozens of amazing videos talking about the history of this airplane and what it can and cannot do. And if you notice, the elevator on this is actually really small, and that's actually the trim surface because the tailplane also moves as well in trim. And it's just insane the amount of armament this thing can carry and what it takes to fly these. It's just, it's outrageous. It really is. It's, again, man-made. You know, spread your wings and hold on. Let's fly. Even the kids are having a good time and they don't even have a clue what they're looking at. Isn't that cool? So if you know your Air Force Command aircraft, this is a Texas-based bitch from back in the day. What's really cool, this is a Fort Worth aircraft. Again, I've been to every Texas air show that you could imagine. I've probably seen this airplane fly. This is a 1955 aircraft. They don't have it on placard, but you know, I am an A&P, I am a pilot, and I know how to read the serial numbers on these. 3130. It's a 55 3130. This is old granddad, because right over there at the airfield is no fewer than 10 of the newest version of the KC-135s, and over there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 C-17s, and there's another 17 inside the hangar getting worked on. And we'll get some more footage of some of these other toys in just a moment. If you know your movies, here's your Con Air. And I'm sorry, I do not see Nicolas Cage anywhere near this aircraft, but here's one to look up. Over there, nice little Shrike Commander. Do a YouTube search of Bob Hoover pouring tea, and you'll be amazed at what you can do with that little aircraft right there. Absolutely an amazing aircraft. Of course, C-47 DC-3 is probably one of the greatest aircraft ever built, ever made, ever designed. But here's this little bitch right here. This is a Fairchild. This is a 123. And these things have been used all over the world. This one actually has the jet engines for jet assist, and then they shut the jets down once she's in the air. How cool is that? So they would fuel the jets off the fuel pods, or they would just run the avgas, and they were little hot puppies. They were for sure. This thing's like a big old guppy flying in the air. Very, very cool. Very cool. Got some neat stuff here. I really do. Okay, the winter chicken dinner for my very favorite airplane ever, and I have flown in one of these out of Ellington Field in Houston, Texas, is the T-38 Talon. If I could have two aircraft in real time right now, today, it would be this aircraft right now, and as I said before, the Grumman Albatross. If I had to pick between the two, I would pick the Albatross, but because that I would get more useful out of that aircraft. But this thing here is pure haul ass. This aircraft was built with zero dehedral in the wings. If you see every other aircraft, the wings have a little upward tilt to the aircraft. And what that's designed to do is, imagine if the wings tilted up, there's a central focus point at the center of the aircraft, so it would fly straight and level, hands off if you took your hands off the controls. This is not that aircraft. This aircraft is built with zero dehedral in the wing. What that means is this plane does not fly by itself. This plane does not have autopilot. This plane literally flies by you pointing into the sky and going for it. Seriously, just haul ass, hold on, yippee-ki-yay MFer. This in the pilot's manual, it says if it takes excessive thrust to taxi, you landed with the wheels up. Swear to God, it's in the flight manual. The other thing that's really cool about this, if you saw Top Gun, this is what they used as their Russian MiG. Nobody's seen a MiG-29 before. It was a T-38 Talon and an F-5 Tiger that they used. Right next to it is a T-37 Cessna Screamer. And I say Screamer because if you've ever heard one of these, it's worse than any girl getting pinched by your hand at any point in time. But this thing here is a monster. Absolute bullet monster. When you fly this thing, you do so and just you go for where this is game on. This is game on. This is your little 5-liter Mustang Coupe with a Coyote swap, twin turbos, and nitrous to get it spooled up all day or day. This is one of my favorite airplanes. It has the highest roll rate of 700 degrees per second. That means 360 degrees, that's one full loop, okay, one full roll. 700 degrees per second. absolutely outstanding. Yippee-ki-yay, MFer. This is all the beans. My absolute favorite aircraft here. Hey everybody, it's David Wilks, and I wanted to thank you for joining me on this little journey through the Flight Museum here, and a little bit of my past, my passion, what really drives me, makes me enjoy what I get to do by traveling all over the United States and sharing what it is that I love the most. I'm kind of a little tongue-tied because it was really hot outside and I need some water. I'm a little dehydrated, I can tell you that right now. I'm gonna get some of that ID Life Hydrate and I'll be right back to normal very soon. But again, thank you so much for joining me on this little journey through March Field. It's been a blessing to be able to be here and to do this. Take the time to Google these aircraft. Take the time to look these airplanes up on YouTube. Take the time to watch movies like Pearl Harbor, which feature scenes from a place like this. There's a lot of movies out there that you can watch that have a lot of information, a lot of fun stories, and tell the history of where we have become as Americans to develop and put together life as we know it in aviation. And it's been simply outstanding to be able to share this with you all today. I feel very blessed. God bless America. God bless you all. And I appreciate if you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you catch my next video, because who knows where I'll be for the next shot.